And are we ever? But, so last night, really quickly, before we do our intro, I was looking at my Fire TV, which was having connectivity problems, which since my damn...
Of course. I mean...
electricity just went out during the stormy storm.
I call it the death storm.
During Death Storm.
Instead of Death Star.
2019. My electricity went out. But then I'm sitting here and I'm like looking over notes and everything. But then last night, while I was doing all that, getting ready for recording today, my Fire TV was having trouble. So I opened it up and it was like signal strength, very good. And then connectivity, connected with problems. And I took it personally because I've heard so many shrinks say that about me and to me. That I was like, fuck you, Alexa. Like, where do you get off? Do you think you know me? Do you think you know me?
You don't fucking know me.
You can fuck off, Jeff Bezos. That's exactly. I took it very personally and started reading like a Poirot novel because I don't know if I was like sensitive or what. Although, to be fair, also, I'm PMSing pretty hard, and my husband was like, I don't know, it could be due to like all the hormones and the pathogens you have going on. I was like, excuse me, pathogens? That is not how periods work. It is not Outbreak, the movie. I'm pretty sure Patrick Dempsey had not been bitten by a monkey with PMS. No, that's Ebola.
It's Ebola. Get your diseases right, okay? Leave mine alone.
A pathogen? A pathogen? I'm sorry, sweetheart. Like, what health class did you take? Oh, well, they get pathogens once a month. You know, they turn into these Ebola monsters.
Well, we kind of do.
I mean, like I'm an Ebola-bearing zombie. My pathogens. Fuck you, sir.
Oh, men have no clue. But
they have no clue.
We love them. We love them anyway. What is wrong with us?
We do. Because we like sex.
X.
That's the problem. That's every human on Earth's problem. Like when I hit menopause, I'm going to take it as like a great thing. I'm going to throw a party because I feel like I'm not going to have to give a fuck no more. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. But that's very personal information aside. Let me read our intro.
This guy almost spit my beer out all over my computer. Then we would have had big problems.
Yeah. You would have spit your female pathogens on things.
Oh my God.
We would have had to call Hoffman and like Cuba Gooding Jr. and been all about the outbreak in your house. You pathogen carrier. Yeah.
Better like seal us off from society.
Pathogens.
Contagious.
Them in the nuts so hard.
It's contagious. I get our pathogens.
Bitchiness is contagious.
Can't even do it without laughing.
No, but it was super funny.
Oh my God.
Because he was just like, I don't know. I don't know what happens. I apologize because I don't know what happens.
He needs to watch the movie Hot Pursuit with Sophia, whatever her name is, and Reese Witherspoon. And it's a hilarious comedy. Whatever. I love Reese Witherspoon and Sophia. I can't say her last name, but it's funny. And she's like, she needs to have her lady time, and the men are like, what? She goes, once a month my uterus sheds its lining, it sheds and it bleeds, and they're like, okay.
You're full of pathogens, you Ebola carrier. I died laughing. It was like it's the movie Outbreak all over again. Okay, let's actually read our intro and then we'll get into shit. Okay,
let's do it.
Hello, and welcome to Body Count, the podcast where we believe history doesn't repeat itself. It rhymes, and a proud member of the Big Heads Podcast Network. We're here to show you don't hate history, you just hate the way that it was taught to you. Mm-hmm. Only rule when we choose a topic, someone, or a lot of someone's died. We give you the series of events in a narrative fashion, and by the end, correlate said story with current events. I'm not PBS, Ken Burns, or Dan Carlin. If you want a Hoover-esque, just the facts, ma'am, history podcast, we are not going to be for you. I.e., there will be analysis and opinions. My opinions are my own. Know that I hold my co-host verbally hostage. Direct your hate at me, folks, where it belongs. It's said tragedy plus time equals comedy. No, we giggle at some occasionally rough subject matter. We are not actively trying to offend anyone. You've been warned. If you're okay with all of that, I'm your host, Jessica Manor, and I'm joined today by my co-host,
Bethany Skelton. I don't know why I just did that.
Also active carrier of the female pathogens.
I know, right?
I just thought it was so great. It was just like a great way to put it. I died laughing.
Oh my God. You know what? I'm going to make this comment and you haven't changed it. So I'm going to do it so that it is recorded. Since you now listen to our actual podcast later on, I want to change that you don't hold me verbally hostage anymore. I am a willing participant with many questions. If anything, I am officially your right hook.
That's very true. I just do it principally so that when people yell on Twitter, it's directed
at me. They don't yell at me. I'm the sweet one, and you're the bitch.
Also, yes, the biggest bitch ever. Also, we have to apologize to our viewers. We're going to try to drink less when we do this because I listened to the last 3 episodes, and I am like Rick from Rick and Morty rambling about Palestine and Israel. I don't even know what I'm talking about half the time. Like, I'm just getting mad. And we were getting mad, and it was great, and it was funny. But, we're out of the Middle Ages. We're out of the Renaissance. We are back into a little closer to what is a early modern time. So hopefully we won't be as insane this week.
Okay, well, you say that as I literally go like this. Open my next beer.
I'm not gonna lie and say that I'm not currently huffing down a beer as well. I swear to God, our livers, when we have cirrhosis, like
we'll be cirrhosis buddies.
How much
we're
do you
all
drink?
In
well,
this together.
I binge drink very heavily because of my podcast. I'm sorry, doctor.
We do talk about some horrific shit. In fact, my anxiety, I'm taking my prescribed anxiety medication right now just because.
Oh, I already did that.
To get into. Okay, well, mine will kick in a little bit.
Streets ahead on the anxiety pill already having been taken.
Okay, well, I got some. I'll catch up to you here in like 20 minutes.
Mental health is important. Please talk to your doctor.
Yes, there's a reason why we do this, and we get through it in a medicated, prescribed way.
Because otherwise you find yourself yelling at Alexa because of network connectivity problems. And that's just the way it goes. And taking it personally because you are insane.
Just slightly. Well, more than the average.
More than the average. Which is what it is.
This is why I think we get along so well.
Good. We're both certifiable. If that doesn't bond people, I don't know what does.
Oh, you're crazy? Oh my God, me too. Let's be best friends.
It's kind of like I needed something on my stomach before we started this because, again, I didn't want to be as drunk. But I'm not going to lie, I had quite a few beers.
Well, we have
so I ate an entire Hershey's chocolate bar and like 3 Triscuits.
Okay, first of all, we had trick or treat. So it is how we are recording, even though this is like, oh my God, even though this is not going to be posted on Halloween, we are currently recording on Halloween. And we just went to a Halloween thing at our church. Okay. And we went through it was inside because it was like a tornado storm coming through, but we still went and had a freaking fun time. Well, they had a table set up for, instead of trunk or treat, it was like table treat. I don't know. And
table treat.
And so like we walk by and I look and I see this nice Kit Kat. And I look at her, and she
Love
looks
a
at
Kit
me. She sees me looking at the Kit Kat, and I said, "Can I?" And she said, "Yes, ma'am." I said, "Oh my God, this is going to get me through the rest of the night. Thank you." And you would be proud, girl. I did not raid any of my kids' candy. I cannot believe it, but I have not touched a thing. Now, tonight might be a little different because it is Halloween, and I feel like it's tradition to
You're a
at
better
least
human being than me because I just straight up wolfed an entire candy bar in my child's.
And
No shame whatsoever.
girl's gonna come home and be like, Jessica. And she's gonna call you by your first name. She's not gonna call you mommy. Excuse me, Jessica, where's that chocolate bar? I know
That's
it was
exactly how she's going to do it.
She
And I'm
talks to you
prepared
that
for
way.
it.
Because
I'm
I know you
prepared
are.
for it.
That's why she's your child and not mine.
I'm just going to say I will buy you another candy bar. Mommy really needed podcast fuel. It is the way it is.
All right. So now that we've had chocolate, our beer, and our medication, let's get to where we left off.
Right, exactly. Now that we've covered mental health, me yelling at Alexa and Jeff Bezos for no reason, and our binge alcoholism, those things have all been addressed. We can now move on to the important facts.
Okay. Yeah.
Where we left off last in our story, the time of troubles was at an end, and Michael Romanov was voted the Tsar at last.
At last, the time has come along. I did not sing the right rhythm on that, but I did get the right words.
So. It's all right. We're big Etta James fans. We're just going to claim that. Now, if you will remember, however, the nobles and boyars had lost the boy. They didn't know where he was.
I mean, they had an idea that he was dead, right?
But no, they didn't think he was dead. They just didn't know where the hell he had gone, like, quite frankly.
Bullshit. See, this is why I should have listened. Because okay, here we go. All right.
Well, to be fair, we were
too
intoxicated to be doing what we do.
Okay. I mean, I have notes, and my notes, yes and no, make sense. So here, yeah.
That's why I'm apologizing to people. Like, we are going to sober up this episode. We're going to be a little more with it than just like yelling about nonsense.
Maybe for you. Not about me. No promise. I'm not making
it about me. No promises here.
Sorry. You volunteered the wrong person. Okay.
Tried to make me go to rehab, and I said no.
Hell no.
I'm sitting here filing a hangnail. What's wrong with me? So, no one was sure. I can tell I've already had too much to drink, which is going to be problematic. It is what it is. So, no one was sure where the boy and his mother had fled to. They were in hiding after the whole, Polish cannibal thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which was actually for the best because the Poles and the Lithuanians heard that there was a new voted Russian Tsar, and they sent assassins. Now, the one person who did know where the Tsar hid was tortured to death by the Poles to get the location before the Russian boyars and nobles even had a clue where the boy was hiding. But for once in this story thus far, someone stayed loyal to the Tsar literally to the death. So Michael, no matter how legitimate his claim, he was up to his neck in it. Like, regardless, there's no going back.
Literally,
somebody just died because they believe in you so much. You know,
they literally lost their neck for you.
Quite literally. So sorry, sonny boy, whether you like it or not, you're the Tsar. He was still alive, so good news. Also, good news for the first time in this story. Somebody.
Oh my God, I'm gonna write that down. Finally, good news. I don't think I've written that in this entire notebook of Journey of the Romanovs.
Well, no, there's been none to speak of. We've got people with broomsticks and dog heads like so to their fucking pinafores, riding around on black coursers, killing people. This is a definite improvement. The Tsar lived. And still, through all this kind of shit, Michael didn't even know yet that he was named Tsar.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry. It's just so funny to me because it's like you're going about your day. It's like imagine this happening in today's world where you're going along your day and your phone's been going off and you're like, what the heck is going on? I'm just going to turn it off. And then you finally turn it back on and you're like, oh shit, I'm the new leader of a whole country.
That's exactly what it was, only in like letter form.
2 days ago. I actually became the leader like 2 weeks ago. Like, oh shit, maybe I should do something? What? Why has nobody told me to my face?
Oh, why is nobody telling me this shit? It's kind of important. Now, the Russians didn't even set out to find the boy until March 2nd of 1613. So it's like I said, we're out of the medieval period, which was early in our story. We're out of the Renaissance. We're post 1600. So we're kind of moving into a more modern era. Thank God. You think it gets less weird, but in a way, it just gets weirder. And that is what I love about Russia. Now,
well, I mean, you say modern era, and we just called the era we're in modern. So it's getting moderner. Is that even a word? It's probably not a word. More modern.
More modern.
There we go. I do know English. I did graduate.
I did graduate. We do have a tenuous grasp on the language.
Sorry, it's just the alcohol. Okay.
It's the alcohol. Oh, so it's the alcohol. That should be the fucking story of our life. Please forgive me. It's the alcohol. Sorry,
we need to
I'm
make
not
sure.
sorry. I was having a
We
really good time.
We podcast. Sorry, we also drink.
We can't. Welcome to Body Count Podcast, sponsored by all forms of alcohol. Whatever's to hand, even if we have to make donkey juice.
Wait, I don't even know what donkey juice is. Oh my god!
Just like when you combine all the liquors that you have on hand into some super disgusting whatever.
Oh, okay. Throw up.
Yeah,
we just call
pretty
that
much.
Throw up.
Party juice.
Oh shit! Party juice. All
Riot
right.
punch. You know, the usual. Now, when they did finally locate the boy, they found that the Tsar and his mommy nun Martha wanted no part of being Tsar. And small wonder, as all the other Tsars in the last few years had died horrible deaths, generally due to the betrayal at the hands of these people crowded around, like asking Michael, so, hey, you want to be Tsar?
You want to be Tsar?
Well, yeah, sure. I'm partly responsible for the death of the last Tsar, but that guy over there, he's responsible for the death of the one before that. So
it's not me. At least you got a friend in me, right? Hey, you know what? I'm kind of proud because at least somebody learned from history. And I'm kind of proud.
Good for you.
I'm slightly proud.
Michael
Good
Romanov.
for you. Even though you had no choice, but hey, you still tried to say no. No means no, damn it. Okay.
No means no. I don't want your stupid crown. Oh my God, you're just gonna kill me for it. No.
Like, well, oh God.
Regardless, worrying about being murdered or betrayed, sadly enough, was the least of the boy's problems. His father was a prisoner of the Poles who thought they should be czars in their own right. There was no money to raise an army under the crown. How could they even get back to Moscow as the country was like crawling with land pirates, bandits, whatever you want to call them? I prefer my own term in my head as land pirates, but I realize that might not be for everyone. Oh. And, you know, the entire land was like rife with disease and famine.
Okay. So basically he was going to be becoming a part of something, or not a part of something, ruling over literally a hot mess.
Yeah. And that's just the stuff at the top of the list.
I mean, how bad can you get than just a hot mess? Well, a fucking hot mess.
A hot mess. Oh, and he couldn't exactly be crowned, as the crown itself had even been pilfered of its jewels.
Oh
So
my God.
basically,
It
Michael
wasn't
wasn't even a crown to crown the poor kid with.
Oh God. Crown stolen. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, poor Michael was wisely objecting to being the literal king of ashes.
A shit
Because
show.
that's,
I was
of the
gonna say a shit show.
No, I was going to say
No
ashes because
to
it's just all
king
smoking ruin.
of shit show. Like, I don't blame him. Like, you want me to take over that?
Thanks, but no thanks.
Thank you, next bitch.
Right. I will squat here in my hovel. It seems like it's better than being czar at this current, moment in time. But Michael, the rightful heir, had finally been elected, and Michael Romanov, it would be, according to these people. They'd made up their mind. The entire country was behind it. He's gonna be czar.
He's like, he doesn't really get a choice.
No, because thanks, but no thanks, wasn't an answer that the nobles and boyars were willing to accept.
Nice try, Michael, but you've been elected. Well, I didn't ask to be elected. Well, too bad, Michael. Everybody voted for you.
Titties, said the kitty.
Well, I didn't give consent. Well, too bad. Everybody calls you the czar. Well, fuck.
We already sent out pigeons saying you're czar, so.
No.
Sorry, not sorry. You're the czar now.
Yeah.
You gave your consent, whether you knew you gave your consent or not. You're a czar now.
I give it a year. Yo-ro. I give
Yo-ro. Yo-ro. You only rule once. That's our new thing. No YOLO bullshit. We're Yo-ro. You only rule once. But despite that, it didn't mean he and his mommy were going to bitch and moan the entire way there, because they did just that. In fact, they did so much bitching and moaning. It's all that anybody could write about before he was crowned. Just the endless bitching and moaning and crying as they're dragging these people to Moscow going, nope, you're going to be king. I don't care if you don't like it or not. You're king.
I don't want to. It's like if somebody did a documentary willingly about how hard their life is, even though they knew what they were getting into. Who does that sound like?
Yeah, exactly. But nonetheless, they made it to the, let's face it, state of ruin Kremlin. And they were dragged there kicking and screaming. Now, the palace had a rough couple years with all the invading and all the sieging over the years during
and the dying and the thieving
and the cannibalism and the murder, stabby,
die, lots of it.
It was pretty prevalent, least to say, a place of smoking goddamn ruin. And it's like, yeah, you're gonna live here though, because that's where we live. Sorry. So repairs began immediately on the Kremlin.
Fix it. Like literally fix it. Like, here you go. Now fix it, or we kill you.
Here's the keys. Fixie.
No, don't ruin it more. Good luck.
Good luck to you, sir. Here are the keys. I see the front door is stove in. Never mind. Anyway, here are the You don't
need keys. You don't even need keys. You know what? We'll put up some fence. Maybe that will help.
We will put up a wall. We're going to get to that, but let's rebuild the damn thing first. Probably be best to do that. So repairs began immediately on the Kremlin. They fashioned a new crown post haste. Popped new crown on Michael Romanov the first, and now we have King Kid. They got to work. First thing they did, make him King Kid officially. Now Michael immediately.
I actually like that.
Well, because he's not King Baby anymore.
No,
King
but
Kid.
King Kid, that's totally like literature worthy. I love it. I love the King Kid.
Good. I'm glad you approve my colloquial weirdness.
The fact that you stumbled on that word makes me concerned.
Oh,
Only
we
like
should
30 minutes.
all be concerned. We're only like 30 minutes in. I'm not going to promise it's going to get
Oh,
better
God.
or worse.
But here we
What
go.
we do. We drink and we podcast. Here we go.
Yay.
We
And people listen.
drunkenly work our way through history, and then people listen, of all things.
Love you. Thank you for supporting our habits.
Yes, and you do. You do very much so, and we very much appreciate it. God bless you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Michael immediately started reordering the courtiers according to rank and file. Basically, the normal czar song and dance as he was crowned czar, everything kind of appeared, whether he intended or not, to be returning to a normal state. But
he seems to be fixing it, right? Like this seems to
he
be a good
seems to
thing,
be.
right?
Yeah, it is a good thing. On the surface, it all is a good thing. The truth was, however, Michael was in the shittiest position possible. The facts were as follows. Most of the higher end courtiers thought they should be the czar.
Oh,
The Poles and the Swedes were gathering big ass armies to crush the new czar. The Tautars were playing hell in the south. And the baby brigand and Marinka the witch, their army was holding court in Astrakhan. Oh, and again, we can't overstate this. The country was a smoking ruin. Okay. So
wow.
if you're the 17-year-old, newly elected king kid of a shitstorm, what do you do?
I mean, okay. So, okay. Here we go. I mean, if you think about it, and what you've told me before, 17 is like, you have to think of that in like dog years, right? Like times that.
Kinda. Think about
right?
it. It's like 16, 13. It's basically dog years.
Yeah.
17.
You've made it to 17. That's like at least half your life, isn't
That's
it?
an accomplishment. I mean,
and
close,
the fact not only that, but he's actually making what seems to be good changes, getting it back into order, despite the fact that everybody wants his job and thinks they can do his job better.
And you've got all these conflicting armies getting ready to come hard at you. And it's like you said, though, it's if it was today, 2019, 17, the answer would just be to get high, right? Like, I'm anxious, I'm going to get stoned. That could not be when you were a 17-year-old czar in 1613. You're exactly right. So
he did that at like
Michael.
age 7. No, sorry.
Yeah, exactly. No, that was
already been there, done that. Okay,
he's
already gone through his 10 years.
He was doing opium, chasing the red dragon at like 6. That was his teenage years. You know.
Sorry. I mean, it's true though.
It is, sadly enough. Let's talk a little bit about Michael. Yeah. Some people believe, and they believe it today, other historians, and historically they kind of believe it. And then people of the time thought that Michael was a bit dim, kind of a weak non-entity, and touched by all the trauma experienced by him in the time of troubles. That's how traumatized this kid was, BTW. They thought he was traumatized even by 1613 standards. So how much trauma do you experience if in 1613 they think you have PTSD?
I mean, seriously though, Jessica, think about it. Like, yes, you're right that he had this PTSD, but look at what he's accomplished. Again, I know I've already said it, but it's just one of those things where it's like, yes, he's had some shit go down. He was in hiding. He was quote unquote dead, but then found. And then they're like, czar. And he's like, no, but okay, sure. I guess I have no choice. And he did some fucking shit. Like, he turned it around. And he was like, all right, we're going to get this shit back on track. Because he's not, again, like I said, it's like in dog years. He's might be 17, but he's more like 27 into his 30s. You know, we're really to that point. We really are. And I'm actually incredibly proud of him. And of course, he is like keeping a level head in the public, whereas behind closed doors, he's probably not sleeping at night because everybody wants his fucking job. Everybody's willing to kill him to get, because I can do this better. Really?
Exactly.
Can you do it better? Okay. Oh,
exactly.
Okay.
And that's why I think that both his contemporaries and some modern historians are incorrect. I think that Michael was a lot more clever than anybody gives him credit for. Because
and why was that, Jessica? Why was that? Because he actually paid attention to history.
Exactly.
He learned from the mistakes. He even tried to say, like, fuck this. No. Well, shit. I guess if I don't have a choice, I'm going to make the best of it and learn from everybody else.
Exactly.
Good for
After
him.
years of boat rocking, essentially in the Muscovite Duchy, I think Michael cottoned on pretty quickly to the fact that not rocking the boat, making no waves, was a sure way to survive in this post-war shithole.
Don't rock the boat. Don't rock the boat,
baby.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it was a survival instinct. Now, his supporters saw him as kind of dim and placid. Foreign princes remarked only his ever-present, genial smile. Only a few times did anyone ever mark him as being angry enough to remind anyone that he even was the czar in those early days. He was ill a great deal of the time. He was extremely pious, which was in essence expected of a czar and something that had been overlooked by all those guys that were getting knocked off, He took a great joy in the wonders of technology and Western entertainment. He employed acrobats and human oddities, or what they were viewed as at the time. His closest companion was a dwarf viewed as a mascot.
Smart.
Exactly.
He used his brain.
There was constant music and dancing. Michael was an avid gardener and hunter. Every account suggests this good-natured, cheerful boy king that was all about order and routine.
It's almost like finally we got a good one. Finally, like it's one of those things, when your boss is bringing you down, and when you finally get a good boss, it changes the whole morale of the place. Like it's like, all right,
he
cool.
changed the culture.
Yes, the culture. I didn't want to use that word, but it was one of those things where he is literally like, all right, I didn't get a choice in this. And instead of being, I might have whined and bitched the whole way. It's my fucking right. I didn't ask for this. But now that I'm in this role, all right, let's do the damn thing. So I have major props.
Exactly. He was looking to survive. And I really don't think that he was dim. I think Michael knew that the power of reinstating the status quo, all the distractions of court life, it kept everyone happy and focused on more than turning on him and on him as czar and putting another one in his place. Putting key decisions in the hands of others, like put this Chinese wall between Michael and a potentially unpopular decision. If he has other people making unpopular decisions, it's not coming from the czar. It can be put on whoever this advisor was. If everyone is busy, like fucking and having fun, they're not fighting with each other. Consider, like
that's why the 60s were so great.
That's what I'm getting from drugs. Exactly,
but
exactly. Like consider for a moment if America today did not have like television and Instagram. We would be full Mad Max eating each other in the streets in a week without like all of these opiates of the masses that we've come to rely on. And if we didn't have all that, we'd fucking turn on each other like dogs in a second.
Which we kind of already do.
That.
Exactly. We kind of already do. I mean, they were already doing that. Hello, cannibalism. And Michael was like, okay, hold on.
To be fair, they were eating the Poles. It was the Poles that were eating the Poles.
Oh, okay. Well, sure, but still, people were still
also probably Russian on Russian. There was just a lot of eating whatever you had.
I think you can type that in. Don't type that into Google search, Russian up on
please,
Russian.
God. Don't. Yeah.
Sorry, Mom.
No, it's going to take you to a real weird place on Pornhub, like Pornhub. You're not ready
Not
for
that
it.
we would. What? What's that? I don't know what that is.
What?
Okay.
So if keeping people distracted and entertained and living in the moment stands true for America in 2019, why should it be any different in a burgeoning Russia in the 1600s?
I mean,
you know, like
it should. We didn't come. No, I'm sorry, but Jessica, nobody came up with this distraction in the news bit overnight. This has been a thing that's developed and they learned from history. So it's really shitty that people take the things that aren't good for us and use them because they learn from history, but yet they can't seem to figure out why we suck as human beings. Like, you know, I mean, maybe that's too general, but you know what I mean.
Seems to be pretty elective knowledge when it comes to that point and problem. It always does. So you're right. I think, as a matter of fact, Michael was, in fact, very clever. He understood the appearance of a sweet-natured czar was more important and far less dangerous a position for the time than a strong decision-making czar.
He just kind of like keeps his nose clean, follows the rules, makes good choices. So he's smart about it, at least, you know?
And like, always appears good-natured and happy, and as if the decisions weren't his, but somebody else's. That is and he pure class survival. Yeah.
And he doesn't take credit for it. He gives it to be like, this was person. And I just agreed to it, like, because I have the authority and this is a great idea. And people are like, well, I have a good idea. Okay, let me listen. You know what I mean? He was inviting and opening, and people were like, and that's what made it so hard. Like, so these people that wanted his job or claimed that they could do his job better, it's like, how can you throw somebody under the bus or like, throw them out there as this awful guy when they're doing all these things that are technically good choices, especially for this particular situation, as what you called it what was it? Hold on, let me go back to my notes. Don't tell me. A smoking ruin. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things where it's like this town is like thieves when Hercules, like, what you need is a hero. And he goes to thieves and it's literally a smoking ruin. And he ends up turning it around. And it's like, how can you hate somebody that's actually trying to help you and not just the rich people or the middle class people, the poor or the prostitutes, the criminals? Like, he literally is like, I am for every people. And you're like, thank God. Literally, finally, I'm going to underline that word because I already wrote it, but finally, it feels like, all right, we're heading the right direction.
Exactly. And again, even more cleverly, Michael began immediately by sharing all his decision-making powers with his boyars and nobles, even stating that he wouldn't execute anyone without the agreement of an assembly, which was like basically the autocratic early Russian equivalent of a fucking constitution. That's how forward-thinking this guy is. Like,
who came up with that idea? Michael or Romanov? Like, hello. Like, way to be like a complete diplomatic person. Like, you know what? We're not going to do this until we actually have a full discussion. I'm going to hear all the evidence versus just, I don't like him. Off with his head. There's no more of that. So maybe Michael Romanov does take this "you only rule once" thing to consideration here. He's like, all right, look, I got one shot, better make it count.
No, he really did. So as a result of sharing all of his kind of executive decision-making powers, the assembly was almost constantly in session, which again also keeps everybody busy so they can't turn on him. Heroes of the uprising that had actually installed Michael as czar were allowed to really dominate the Kremlin. All the big decisions, all the prestige. So Michael was made czar as an act of defiance against foreign rule. The Romanovs, therefore, had a pretty early acquaintance with being military leaders because they were essentially put there to be like you're here so that nobody invades us and claims that they are the czar, so that the Muscovite duchy is held by the Muscovite duchy. So immediately he had to become used to being the end all be all, kind of leader of anything that was to do with military tactics.
Which sucks. I'm sorry. I mean, but it kind of sucks. Like, as soon as you say, and if there's anything, and I've learned a lot from this podcast, since we started, almost a year ago, we're coming up on a year in December. It's just one of those things where it's like, if there's anything I've learned, the moment you bring in the military, things get little, heated, wishy-washy, down in the dumps, worse for things. So it's like, what do you make of a bad situation?
And yet Michael turned it into something positive.
Yes.
So again, this isn't a dumb man. He has all the appearances of being stupid, but he's quite clearly not. So I'm going to disagree with a lot of modern historians there, in that I don't think Michael was an idiot in the least.
No. At all. I mean, he knew. Okay, look, again, this is also, I mean, maybe they call him an idiot because of the fact that he threw that big fit. Like, they want to look at prior to becoming czar, and the fact that he was missing, they couldn't find him, and then
he was ill, and he's always he didn't even know face, and he pretends to be stupid. Doesn't make him stupid. He clearly wasn't. If you look at the weight of all this evidence, this clearly wasn't a dumb individual. So Michael began putting all those war heroes that might think they might want to be czar to work. Again, distraction, constant distraction. And he has them begin to secure the kingdom as they're rebuilding it. So first up are the armies of the baby brigand, which was, if you'll remember, false grandson of Ivan the Terrible.
Yep.
But he was also
no.
Ivan the Fourth.
The fourth. Oh, dang it. I always get the sixth and the fourth. I kind of get them. There's this weird lapse. I even had to scratch it off in my notes. I remember looking over him because there is a moment where I do write down Ivan the Fourth. You're like, well, no, technically we're now into the sixth. I'm like, oh yeah. So I kind of do. Yeah. I'm sorry. I do. I get a little confused with the two just because of the gap history, or lack of. Sorry. No offense, but I mean, there's kind of like a lack of. I mean, there's a huge gap where it's like, what the fuck is happening? And now we're all of a sudden in the sixth. So I get it.
Yeah, no, but I want to throw that in there in case you haven't listened to The Rise of the Romanovs. Yeah.
Please do.
Please go back, listen to all of that, because it's not going to make any sense. But know that the baby brigand is the son of the second false Dimitri and a false pretender grandson of Ivan the Terrible.
Oh my God. Okay, so baby brigand is grandson of Ivan the Terrible the Fourth, right? That's what you just said, yes?
Yeah, he's the false grandson. He's not actually.
He's the one that supposedly died, but he was still alive, right?
Yes, the baby brigand's still alive, but he is the false. He's like the little child of Marinka the witch, remember?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay.
So he attacks this first because they are the only internal threat. So
who attacks first?
Michael.
Sorry, I got lost. Okay, so Michael
goes to take out the armies of Marinka the Witch and Baby Brigand, which is an interesting move, again, to show that he is not stupid, because all their other enemies are outside threats. So what does he do first? He decides to unify the kingdom from within.
Which is the first threat, right? This is like the first actual threat that he's been receiving. And even if it is a witch and who cares?
Here's my thing. He could have taken a shot at the Polish first or the Swedes first. No. He has the good sense to take out his enemies within the kingdom and unify the kingdom all together as one before addressing those outside threats. Which, again, I'll stress, is not stupid.
No, it's so smart. How do you defeat an army? How do you defeat the world? You come within, unite. We come together as one.
First.
We're all
Exactly.
in this together.
Exactly.
I mean, it's
And
true.
here's the thing. Even if it wasn't Michael's idea to attack this army first,
Doesn't matter.
he
heard
still
it
had the
and
good sense to take that wise advice that somebody might have given him. He
It
still
might have been
made
the
the
damn
correct decision.
It might have been the cook who he went down and be like, "Hey man, will you make me
What
some
do you
chicken
think?
fried and mac and cheese?
Roll a
just
doobie, eating some mac and
mac and
cheese.
cheese.
Oh,
Ooh, fire up that cake. Let's make some chocolate cake. Hey, man, what do you think about what's going on? Well, here, man, this is
so
what I
if
think.
like you were Zart, what would you do first?
I mean, it's true. Like this whole persona that you have pictured him is truly just a regular schmo that's like, hey, now I've got the power, but I'm not going to let it go to my head. I want to do the right thing. Let me talk to the people. And it's not people outside his castle. It's people that actually work, quote unquote, work for him. I bet you anything. I can picture him being
nobles and boyars and visors. He listened to everybody. And that's what I think is interesting. And that's why it's not going to be a popular necessarily historical opinion. But I think that Michael Romanov being portrayed as an idiot is an absolute falsehood. I think he was actually quite the political genius, personally, myself.
Well, they call him that because how dare he pay attention to history? How dare he learn something from the past? No. You're supposed to fall into everybody's footsteps, and that's how you become famous. And instead, we're going to call you an idiot. You know, it's just you win some, you lose some.
Oh, it is what it is. They're going to call him an idiot. I don't think he was, personally.
No.
So, it didn't take long for Michael Romanov's generals and the armies they had assembled on behalf of the Tsar to move against the baby brigand and his mother, Marinka the Witch's army. And it was a sweeping victory. They captured
the cake.
Right, piece of cake. They captured the baby brigand and Marinka. Now, Marinka's new husband, the Cossack, I think it is Zarutsky, was not so lucky. I think it's Zarutsky. Now, the other two were captured and held for a time. He wasn't so lucky. He was immediately put to death and impaled upon a spike that was inserted through his rectum for all to see in the Red Square.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You know, people do that for fun these days. I mean,
yeah, but he was left to hang there until it eventually worked its way through his insides and out his mouth. It's an impaling fun.
Oh God. I'm so glad I was not taking a drink just then. I'm going to take one now, but damn.
Oh, one day you and I will do Vlad Tepes, and you'll have more the guy that Dracula is based off of. Vlad Tepes of Wallachia. Okay. Not Transylvania. It was a neighbor to Transylvania. Vlad the Impaler.
I'm just gonna pretend. Okay.
We're gonna do him actually getting close to the very near future. And let me tell you, if you think you were horrified by the time of troubles, you have no idea what historical horror is. Ugh. But that's basically how Zarutsky died. So that's fun. That's a fun. So Michael doesn't seem all that sweet, does he?
But you know what, though? It doesn't matter because he had to do what he had to do to unite the kingdom.
I'm glad you say that because we're going to get to some more troubling deaths right now in this sentence. I don't know that we can say that Marinka and the baby were all that lucky. We'll just say that their deaths were less horrendous than Zarutsky's. Marinka was starved to death And
Oh,
the
fun.
4-year-old baby
No.
brigand was hanged from the Kremlin walls for all to see. I will say, though, this is 1613. You can't take the chance. This way, they crush once and for all that no more descendants of false Dmitri, of Ivan, none of those were alive. It ended there with the hanging of a 4-year-old boy on the Kremlin walls.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm trying to use my empathetic witchy nature and empathize and understand, but at the same time, like we
You
were
got
just
to see their
discussing,
point, though.
we were just discussing this about the whole, newly royal scandal about the documentary and releasing royal information and anguish. And you're not supposed to do that. And it's like, I remember before we record, I said, oh, surely she won't do anything to that baby. But this right here tells me people will go to no lengths to make sure they secure the threat of the downfall. Like they don't care whatsoever because they are that committed to the history or the way of life or to whatever you want to call it.
Well, not only that, but think about all the shit that's happened to unify the country, and just to end all this shit. Like, to them, hanging a 4-year-old seemed like a small price to pay, I mean, sadly, that's how history works, guys. That's how it works.
This was super hard to write down, by the way. My poor
It
notebook.
is, but there's no room for bleeding hearts in 1613 after one of the most vicious civil wars that has ever occurred
You're
in
right.
the world.
Yeah. No, I know.
No room for it.
It's a hard pill to swallow, but it's one of those where you're like, all right, remember, this is a different time, a different era, a different way of life. So it's one of those things where you're like, you gotta just take it for what it is.
It is what it is.
And thank God you're born in this shitty era. Like, it could be worse.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why don't everybody quit crying and whining about quit the 2019 crying and whining, because you could be living in 1613.
Yeah.
And it was no goddamn picnic. So
yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, no way is there gonna be a descendant, quote unquote, of a Dimitri, aka false Dimitri. You know what I mean? Like, no way. Nope, you're dead.
No, and nobody but the state of Texas might considering executing a 4-year-old.
You can say that because that's where you're from. And it's right. The truth.
I can say it, and I love my state, and it's a funny joke about my state, and it's
because
not true.
It's true.
We're lovely. We're great. We're Texans. So the Tatars, Poles, and Swedes were also met over the course of the next few years in battle by Michael. And Michael and the assembly were at least able to negotiate a not so embarrassing treaty with the Swedes. Like it or not, they acquitted themselves pretty well in battle. They didn't win, but they didn't lose either. So
because of Michael, because of what he was like, hey man, listen.
He was actually pretty capable.
I mean, that's kind of impressive because he could just go in there and slaughter and make a name for himself, and we all know where that will lead him.
Well, but they couldn't. That's what I'm saying. Is think about how depleted the country's resources were. The fact that they were even able to call a draw and not be defeated was an amazing thing. And I'm not saying that Michael Romanov laid the battle plans. No, I'm saying he had the good sense to trust the correct people.
Yeah,
to gain that military victory.
And that means he made himself look like, hey man, I don't care what you've heard, but we're gonna fucking murder you. You sure you want to do that?
Like, I mean, kind of.
That is kind of impressive. Like, he knew what he had and wasn't much, but he was like, hey, I'm gonna make you believe this is a one hell of a poker face.
Exactly. Or that we're not just here for the taking. We can still hold our own despite all of this. Exactly. Which is another win for Michael, or at least it's not a loss. It's not a loss.
Hey, when you tie in, if you, I mean, I'm a football fan, so win, lose, a tie is neither a win or a lose. And that's at least a good thing in the book. You didn't win, but you didn't lose. So it's like, all right, I'll take it even. I'll take an even cost there. An even exchange in the retail business. Hey, I bought this lip gloss on sale. Can I get this lip gloss because I hate it? Still on sale. It's the same brand, same thing, different name.
A win is a win.
A
Exactly. So here they are. They've taken care of all the internal threats. They've stopped the Swedes. This leaves everyone free to kind of concentrate on the main threat, which is Poland.
Yeah,
Polish.
Yay.
And if you'll remember, they still have Filaret Romanov, Michael's father, in captivity.
Whoa, I forgot actually.
Yeah, remember they have Filaret in their possession. Yeah.
Mike's father is still captured. So that, you know what, that's even more props for him being so level-headed and he's like basically been step stooling, like
exactly, and not just bending over and taking it from the Polish because they have his father
ramming in uncontrollably. Like, I mean, damn.
Exactly. So I'm not saying that he came up with how to deal with all of this on his own. He had the good sense to take good advice, however, when it came to this, and to do the right thing.
Levels, not just from his upper reps, but like from the commoners. Like, you know what? I'm going to listen to everybody. Everybody in the club talk to Michael Romanov. Hey.
Exactly. I mean, so this initial skirmish that they had with the Polish at the borders, you know, it wasn't a loss again for the Russians. It wasn't a win for the Polish. So it bought some time for them as the Poles kind of regrouped in their own borders. And this was good for Michael because he had some matters domestic to attend to, like rebuilding court structure and strengthening the center of his power. So that's even more impressive. He had to initially repel these other armies, defeat one within his own borders. So really what he's done is, if he's not gaining victories, he's pushing everybody out so that he can buy time to rebuild the court, to try to get some semblance of order back in Mother Russia.
God, he is smart.
Yeah.
If there's one czar I would try to like seduce, it would be this one.
Right.
I mean, I don't care.
And you and I both have a predilection for freaking Russian daddies too. So.
Vladimir.
God, so sexy. That's just our personal feelings. It's not anybody's business. Think what you want. So he began strengthening the center of his power. Now, he had time, and he had this hope that a treaty with Poland might be forthcoming, because as things stood, Michael knew that things needed to return to complete normal as fast as they could ASAP. So that meant they needed to do basic things, like go back to growing food at the very fucking least.
Yeah, I mean, food, weapons, resources, reproduction of people, mainly men. I mean, it's true. Like,
you're exactly right.
It is.
They didn't have any of that. That's how, like,
I mean, they had to rebuild.
I mean, it's a really hard thing to look at, and that, to me, that makes them all the more impressive. But again, that may just be me.
Again, once you just said he had PTSD like no motherfucker could ever have, trauma, not even wanting to be the czar, never asking to be the czar, never want aspirations for the czar, but yet he stepped up and was like, all right, how are we going to do this? We're going to go here, we're going to trim the fat here, we're going to connect with the people here, and we're going to reproduce. We're going to do kind of like a, hey, we like you, you like me, maybe not so, but let's not attack each other. In the meantime, while they're focused on that, we're going to focus on us, and we're going to go bum, 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 and make an empire unstoppable. That's pretty fucking legit.
Too legit to quit.
Yes.
Exactly. So first up was restoring the feeling of the sacred monarchy. Now this meant restoring the Kremlin itself. Restoring the palace itself to its former glory, to like acquiring diamond studded robes. It was just as much about it was just as much about making wise decisions as it was looking the part, because power resides where it looks like it should, where people believe that power resides at. And nothing says power like the Kremlin being the palace that it is, or like, say, a solid gold scepter that you could chuck at people. And again, Michael understood that, which to me is not a dumb person. He understood that people will believe that power resides where it looks like it resides. And it looked like it should reside with Tsar Michael Romanov the First.
Which makes me this whole thing kind of makes me kind of question. Like, yes, he was in hiding, right? We couldn't figure out where he was, for the longest time. And then we finally found him and he was like, wait, I'm Tsar? What?
But think about how smart
kind of
his daddy was. And you're going to have to go back and listen to our past episodes
yes,
again,
please
guys,
do.
To understood who he grew up with as a mentor.
Understand. I can't believe I just corrected you on grammar. Understand who he was. You said
Boom.
Understood.
Oh, shit. We're too many beers in.
No, there's no such thing.
We're getting there. I'm getting there. I can't speak.
No, but it's true though. What you're saying is absolutely however you say it doesn't matter. It's the truth. Like, think about it. Like, I almost feel now that you've kind of talked about this. At first, I was impressed. Now I'm just literally like, I'm gonna bow to you, sir, because
you're right. Like,
I feel like you kind of went into this like thinking, you know what? I'm gonna make these motherfuckers
the royal
think
like in my mouth. Like, don't even.
Not even that, Jessica. Not even that. It's like one of those things where, like, all right. You know what? I bet you anything. He's known this was coming. He was like, all right, how am I going to make this work in my favor? I'm going to play dumb and I'm going to play crybaby. And then I'm going to step up like I've been taught exactly how to fucking fix this bullshit.
In a way that if it goes wrong, nobody can credit it to me. Nope. Like, it's very, very clever bits of work.
I mean, think about that, Jessica. That is some serious shit. Like, I literally just got some, like,
do you see why I agree or disagree now, though, with the modern historical theory that Michael was a simpleton? No, he fucking wasn't.
No. He may make you think that way, and he might have perceived you as a first impressions, and well, let me tell you, first impressions are always wrong.
Oh,
point blank. Always. And you know what? He was smart. Once again, he actually paid attention to history, made an executive decision, and was like, all right, how am I going to work this in my favor? Because I already know what's coming. He knew they were going to come after him to be czar. I personally think that he knew this whole time what he was getting to. Just like this whole, I know I wasn't going to bring it up, but just like Meghan Markle and her stupid documentary saying, oh, my life is so hard. Bitch, you knew what you were getting into. This is where you take this opportunity and you turn it into something good, not something bad. Don't make the worst mistakes, boo-boo.
We're going to start calling it Michael Romanoving it. You take it, you take shit, and you turn it to gold.
Yes.
Exactly.
Everybody might call you a simpleton, but motherfucker, you got to read between the lines and the fine print.
But what do you care what anybody calls you? You're still the motherfucking czar at the end of the day. Everybody can lick your dick.
I mean, just think about it. How many times have we talked about Ivan the Great? Was he really that great? No. Honestly, no. Now that I'm getting to Michael Romanov, no, bitch, he's not. All those Ivan the Greats, even the Ivan the Terribles, those motherfuckers were all terrible.
The Ruhr kid were nothing impressive compared to the early Romanovs we're going to talk about. And that's why I wanted to start in the time of trouble and go through this. Because Michael is a wily little fox. So now, grants of land
Mhm.
were promptly given to ensure the most powerful people in the land were rolling with the czar. They had
Rolling
his
with the
interest because they
homie.
got all this shit. Exactly.
Yeah. They were like, yeah, let's do this, man. You're making changes. I like you. Everybody thinks you're
And
dumb,
you're
but
giving
I
us
see.
gifts. You're taking our advice. We're here for it. So Michael allowed his life to be like completely encumbered by continuous religious ceremony. Like
Mm.
from waking to sleeping, he was all church time.
That was what was popular too, was faith, or well, not faith, but
Remember,
religion, right?
the people saw a czar as a God anointed king. What
Mm.
cements that more in your mind than this? Everybody talks about how pious the czar is,
Oh.
and you see him in these religious ceremonies 24/7. Of
Mhm.
course, it was a clever look. He wasn't some simpleton that found comfort only in religion. No, it was a game. It was a
And
game that he was
and he
playing.
used it. And he used it. Whatever was they were talking about religion, he turned around and used it and supported it and like made it kind of like, all right, well, if the czar is doing it, shit, it must be right. Like
Exactly.
I am
He
like
went
literally
through
like
and
so impressed right
observed.
now. Why am I feeling this way in body count? Like, come on, Jessica.
Right, it
I'm
doesn't
not usually
happen
this way.
often. It doesn't
No.
happen often. Let's ride the ride. You're exactly right, though. Every religious festival, which was a good chunk of days of the year, was
Mm-hmm.
observed by him. This
Oh
really
wow.
cemented the correlation of God King once more in the minds of the people, that the czar himself was chosen and anointed by God.
God. Yep.
You
I
know,
mean, he's not some mythical entity. He's actually there and he's
he's not
supporting it.
elected by some assembly of dickheads. This
Mm-hmm.
is a God anointed, this is a
Yes.
God anointed prince. Like Jesus Christ himself put this bro on the throne. He's self
My
holier than
son.
thou. It
My son.
was very, very clever. If
Yeah.
you ask me, the reestablishing of all this and bringing back these traditions and doing it as quickly as possible was very, very clever. Now, again, it may not have been his idea. It may have been somebody else's idea. He still had the good sense to take the advice, which
Mhm.
nobody else has done for years. So I
No.
don't care what. He is very clever. Now,
See, I'm sorry, Jessica. I don't mean to interrupt you here, but I'm just trying to say, like, from a business aspect of the things, because like, I want to open my own business. I won't share what that is, but it's one of those things where I have learned from other people's mistakes. It's like, well, what would you do in this role? Well, I know what I wouldn't do. I can tell
exactly.
you that. Like, is that not a good enough answer? Like, listen to me. I'm telling you this, and this, and this, I would not do. I would actually do this, this, and this, and this, because that seems like it would work. And because nobody else has tried it and they've all fucking died, that's why I'm here.
Exactly. So whether the boy had the ideas on his own or
Doesn't matter.
whether this was his father's teaching or
Excuse me.
advisors, it doesn't matter. He
Doesn't matter.
took the advice.
And
So
he rolled with it.
he rolled with it, and it's making him incredibly
Mhm.
successful. Now, the
Amen.
court hierarchy began to restore itself. Remember, in autocracies, so I'm going to go through this a little bit because it's going to come more into play when we're talking about the other two Romanovs that we're going to cover. So,
Okay.
in autocracies, favor in the court was measured by proximity to whoever the ruler is. So, in other words,
Wait.
you wanted to actually constantly be wiping the king's ass, literally. Like,
Oh wait.
royal pooper scooper was like the shit.
So you mean okay, so like you have the ruler and or the king or the czar or whatever you want to call it, and they have like their
You
servants
wanted
or
to
like
be, well,
advisors.
no. Well, think about, okay, I'm going to think it. Let's look a little bit at like the
Give me a
rules of,
metaphor.
let's
Give
look
me
at
something to relate to.
Louis the 14th. Think
That's
about
not
that. Like people
oh.
literally watch the king shit in the morning. And if you were allowed to do that, it meant that you were the most powerful people. So what I
Oh,
mean by that is
okay.
think in terms of Michael. if you're a prince and a boyar and you're allowed into his chambers in the morning while he's just breakfasting in bed, here you are, the most trusted advisor of this god
Okay.
king.
Okay.
You know,
See him be an actual human, like to see
he
him being
was,
an actual set of godlike.
yeah, he's
Seems real.
leveraging power in a way that even being proximate to him, that's not the right word.
Level.
Being in the immediate proximity of him is court power. It means you're important because you get to see the king be himself.
And that's like some mystical or godlike feature. Like he literally shits and eats just like you. Like, you know, like, oh,
and you're
celebrities
allowed
just like
into
us.
this inner circle. So you know how how important you are in that you're allowed to be near the king, even in these human moments.
That's both good and bad, you know, if you think about it. Like that's
but you want to get it. You want to get to that
course.
point. You want to get that favor where you're so trusted that you're that high up in a land. So it kind of creates this market of competition where people are focused on trying to beat out the other guy instead of becoming czar themselves. They want to get close to him. So you offered your skills and you gained favor to be rewarded with jobs, land, power, titles, marriages. And in return, these courtiers raised and mobilized armies and resources for the czar. So that means the czar is basically this power broker
or something. Okay.
You're exactly right. No, you're exactly right. So the power was readily given to the ruler, who allowed the courtiers to kind of compete and gain wealth and power for themselves, as long as they're
like
bound.
The best man win. Yeah,
exactly.
Like all right, let's see what you got. Yeah, okay.
Here's the other interesting thing about it. As long as you're bound by loyalty to the monarch, so as long as you're loyal, all of you, to this one guy, the power broker, it allows everyone to compete and gain without a civil war breaking out again. So they get to war with each other through this broker of power. Does that make sense?
But there's no like death or anything. Like it's just a matter of like, all right, who's
it's a popularity contest.
It is like who sucks the better dick under the table. Like it's just one of those things. Like
it's
no
probably different than capitalism. It's just like capitalism within an autocratic system, which is really, really interesting. And I think the reason that the Romanovs lasted so long in their absolute autocracy. So the court allowed these super bored, power hungry, rich people to play out their political rivalries and their sexual intrigues under the adjudication of this monarch, so that the entire country wasn't continually ripped apart by civil war. So that, you know, kingship Prince A and boyar kingship A were going at each other. They could go at each other in a roundabout way by trying to gain favor with the monarch. That's what I mean by the center of power. And now that we have it, do you see what a vacuum it was when we didn't have it after Yvonne died?
Because like I just said, like it was like instead of a vacuum of the people, it's a vacuum of the inner circle. So it's like the inner circle know what's going on, but the people have no idea, versus the other way around. The people are way more involved, and that's where we were wrong. Once people start having a say and stuff like that,
we're running into that trouble. But when you've got all these internal princes trying to declare themselves this way, they're fighting each other with words and deeds versus actually raising fucking armies and going at each other in all these different
people dying and they don't.
It's not that Michael was willingly given power by the people that essentially owned all the peasantry, in that he would give them things based on what they would do for Michael. So it was a broker system. There was a center of power. As long as they were all loyal to this center of power and agreeing to be governed by it, they had some set of rules so that they didn't just all draw their fucking sabers and go at each other. And so they weren't fodder for the Swedes and the Polish to just take over.
Right.
Now, monarchy wasn't just a way to unite and conquer anymore, however. No one was going to forget the time of troubles for a very long time. 300 years, in fact. That's how fucking terrible it was. We didn't even begin to do it justice, guys. That's how horrific it was.
Yeah.
No one was in favor of returning to that like body dropping mayhem by choice. Yeah, no.
Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor.
Exactly.
I mean, nobody wants that.
wanted to live in this state of famine, disease, constant invasion, constant war. So Michael had a unique thing in that he had a kingdom that wanted a king so bad. And it meant that they couldn't, if they had to sacrifice being as silly as walking around and not being able to look Tsar Michael directly in the eye, or the fact that they fought with each other to literally dress a grown man in the morning on the daily, that was
his ass. Okay, that's my job. I wipe his ass. Give me free food.
To do it because in the end, that's a small fucking price to pay to eat and not be constantly at war. That's how terrible the time of troubles truly
I will pick your gray pubic hairs. Okay.
Whatever you need, sir. As long as we're not in this civil war anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just the way it is. When you look at the flip side of it and you've got the time of troubles, you're like, fuck that shit. Whatever I got to do. I think this guy's an idiot, but I'm going to give him the best advice I can because I don't want to fucking be there again.
Or my kids fight for me, or my cousin, or my brother, or my uncle, or my father. Like, it's just a lot of people that would die for it.
We're just tired of people fucking dying, man. Exactly. Now, to be fair, though, Michael didn't rely only on people doing anything to avoid civil war at all costs, or his quote-unquote sweet nature as insurance against a palace coup. He was smarter than that. He had a hell of a security force in place. So everyone was encouraged to inform his Cossack mercenary-led Office of Investigation should they hear anything that sounded vaguely treason. Yeah. And it puts those Cossacks that other people might have frowned on, those mercenaries that he had managed to gain the support of because of Filaret, it put them to very good use because they are a scary bunch of motherfuckers, let me tell you. So now you're not even going to say anything that might cause dissent because there are always ears listening.
Well, I mean,
and yet you say this doesn't apply to modern Russian history, guys. They were doing this. They were doing this a real long time ago.
This isn't new. This is not a new thing.
We went from the KGB to the KSB, but this is the 1600s version of it. So it's not a very fucking new idea, is it?
No.
This is why history is important.
No.
So the court, by the end, was fully restored. And the sad thing is, though, Michael at this time is trying to kind of wait to see if he's going to get his father back from the Polish. But now that he's done everything to restore the court, he kind of can't wait any longer. It's time for a bride show, Bethany.
Oh, yay! Boo.
Yeah, and again, notice like the others, he didn't blow this tradition off. Also, a reason he's very successful. So again, I'm going to remind you guys, if you want to know, if you want to hear more about the bride shows, please listen to our past episodes and the
Again,
time of
I think this is like our
troubles.
third time to make sure that y'all, if y'all made it this far and you're at least attempting to understand, but you're like, what the fuck are they talking about? You seriously went too far in this episode. and
Yeah.
you need to stop and you need to seriously go back, because even me, like, I know I'm not some
What we're
smart
going to do
historian.
is we're going to call this series the early Romanovs, whereas the other one about the time of troubles is going to be the rise of the Romanovs, so that people can at least, but do start at the rise of the Romanovs, or none of this shit's going to make any sense.
No, because I'm going to tell you right now,
you shouldn't have made it this far.
This whole thing, like, that you have given to me, like, I am very impressed with myself that I fully understand, and I'm on your side of Michael because I have understood what has happened to lead up to Michael's ruling. And I would not have been so sympathetic or understanding of Michael's choices and things like that if I did not know what came before him. So
this man is a fucking saint, guys. Like, just because we know what came before.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So here we are. Time for another bride shows. And so the court's best and brightest fanned out across the countryside. Bride show styles find some sexy middle gentry virgins.
The best kind.
They did. The best kind.
Sorry.
Those upper middle class virgins.
And still their chastity belt on.
And remember, exactly. Remember, again, we've told you about all this. What we didn't tell you, though, in our earlier episodes was just how dangerous winning the bride show could be, from being like, from the moment of being chosen to actually being wed to the czar. So let's kind of get a little idea of that now. In 1615, in a final showing, Michael chooses a girl named Maria Popova. I'm going to say it is.
Sure. You're better at this than me. If anybody knows it, they know.
I think probably Klopova. I am not completely sure. Now, they changed her name to Anastasia and gave her the title Tsarivna and locked her in a palace to be.
Damn it. Anastasia. Again, that's not the same one.
We're going to get into it. And remember.
Rapunzel, before Rapunzel.
Maria Klopova becomes the new Anastasia. She will be another Anastasia Romanov.
God bless Russia.
We're just going to call her the Tsarivna for now. So she's given the title of Tsarivna and locked in a palace to be trained to be a queen during the engagement period. Okay. What a lucky girl, huh? Well, change your name, ho, and we're gonna lock you in this here fucking palace, and you're not gonna do anything but have queen lessons for a year. Have fun. At least she had queen lessons, and they just didn't leave her there by her fucking self. Okay. Well, at least the bitch didn't cry about it like she's Meghan Markle. Oh, sorry. Oh, shit. Dumb bitch. Dumb hoe. God. Okay. No, it's gonna. You know what? No. They should have done this with Meghan Markle. Lock her up to train her right. Lock her ass in a wing of Buckingham Palace and teach her what it is to be monarchy. Whatever they didn't, now they're going to pay for it. So, unfortunately for this girl, her selection threatened the power of Michael's mother, Nun Martha, because it pissed off Martha's cousin, Mikhail Saltykov's, and kind of threatened his power because he had a beef with the bride-to-be's uncle. So let's follow that. Michael wants to marry this girl. Now,
Cousin?
this girl's uncle
I'm so
threatened the
confused.
power of Martha's favorite cousin,
Shit.
Mikhail Saltykov.
I'm not gonna lie, Jessica, you've lost me. You
Okay,
really have.
Saltykov and Maria's uncle have a beef.
Okay, so
Saltykov is the
who's
power that
Saltykov?
he's the cousin to Nun Martha, which is Michael's mother. So they're in this alliance
Beef
on one side, right?
beef with the
And they
nun
have a
Martha.
beef with the new Anastasia, Maria, the bride to
Oh my
be.
god, this is
They have a
confusing.
beef with the bride to be's uncle.
So not even bride, it's just the bride's uncle. Ah,
but she doesn't have a father that's over. He's in charge of taking care of her well-being.
so then uncle is technically
Uncle's
the father
head
figure.
of the family. He's
Okay,
the
because she
decision
lost
maker.
her father. Okay, that no wonder. Okay,
So she's living in the palace with her uncle and aunt taking care of her.
Okay.
So he's, for all intents and purposes, this girl's father. So
Yeah.
if Michael does marry this girl and they come to court, this guy's going to have
He's
more
the
influence
father.
than
Yeah.
as a cousin to Michael, because he's the father to Michael's wife,
Quote
essentially.
unquote.
Quote unquote.
Yeah.
So you see the problem now.
Yes.
Okay.
Now
So
we've got somebody stepping in to a role
we got
that
somebody
was
that
not made for
threatens the
him.
power, essentially, of Michael's mother over her son.
Okay.
And she's got a lot of it because daddy's still missing, right? The only family he's got is mommy, Nun Martha. And she ain't about to give that shit up. So, a couple weeks after being chosen, the girl gets sick. The uncle, her uncle claims exactly. Her uncle claims she got sick after too many sweets. So yeah, let me go ahead and prep y'all. Exactly. Poison is about to make its way back into our story. Because
I'm fucking crying right now.
I'm going to tell you right now, nowhere in the rest of this story does poison make an exit. Poison continues to be a problem in our entire story. Fucking Russians love poison. I don't know what to tell you. Like, whether it's plutonium poisoning or good old fashioned 1600s poisoning, they're a fucking fan. Big fan of poison. Cusco's poison. We're both so immature.
That poison?
We're both so immature. We immediately make that
impersonation.
So, you know, Uncle claims she has too many sweets, just vomiting or fainting. In this case, in her case, both. Just doing those things would raise questions about the future bride's ability to have children, or maybe she's hiding some secret disease, et cetera, et cetera. Of course, because think about that. Think about how much has been sacrificed because people couldn't produce heirs. So if the future bride of the new czar even vomits in front of people, it's like, oh, fuck. Is she going to die?
She's a demon.
Fuck.
She's got a demon.
Well, no, it's just like, oh, fuck. Is she healthy? We don't even care what the bitch looks like. Does she look like she's got childbearing hips?
Can she actually produce not only a child, but a healthy one?
A healthy one, and more than one, you know? So it's a big deal. Again, if we hadn't gone through everything we've gone through, we'd be like, this is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. But that's how far we've come, that you and I are both like, oh, well, you know, that's a good fucking point. Is there something wrong with this bitch? She okay?
Yeah, not only that, but can she produce 1, 2, 3, 4? Because we all know at least the first 2 don't make it. You know, so it's like, all right, can you not only produce a baby, but can you produce more than one? Because we need more than one.
Exactly. We got problems that we're worried about here. So, whatever the reason, she probably did just have too many sweets. Either way, the czar stupidly or Nun Martha, cleverly, we don't know which one, put Saltykov in charge of overseeing the girl's health. Uh-oh, Spaghetti-O.
Oh my
Because we
god.
already know that
That bitch was
motherfucker
after it.
is after that girl. Exactly. So Saltykov gave her a bunch of potions from the Royal Pharmacy. And the next thing you know, this girl's having like fucking convulsions, puking everywhere.
Saw that one. I'm not even a medic, and I saw that one coming.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it wouldn't be the Russian court without poison everywhere. So, with Nun Martha's backing, Saltykov got the doctors to say she had an incurable disease and was barren.
If there's one thing to ruin somebody's life is to call them the fact that they can't have kids.
The future Zarifna, that she can't have kids, and that's exactly what they got people to do. So the girl and her family were exiled to Siberia.
Oh.
Which again, if that does not sound familiar to you today, pick up a newspaper. They're exiled to Siberia, but at least her father was made like a governor of a province there. It could have been worse, right?
Yeah.
Like, at least they have some position, even if it is in far-flung Siberia, which was wild as fuck and the least of everybody's worries, since Moscow itself was like being torn apart. So Michael really did love this girl, but he didn't overrule his mother in the decision. But we're going to put a pin in this story because it's not over yet.
It never is.
No, it's not. And we're going to end up coming back to it, but it's at this exact moment that Poland chooses to come a knocking.
Knock, 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 knock. We're here.
We're here. They're here. Yeah. October 1617, Michael, who's now 23, sees Prince Vladislav. Now, remember, at some point during the Troubles, someone thought they would give him the title of Tsar. Remember?
I remember.
Okay, yeah. He's come to collect his crown that he thinks he's owed.
Right. I've been given this right. Give it to me.
This is before our No Foreigners Army expelled all the people that were Polish from everywhere and got all fucking indignant, and then Michael was elected. He's not come to terms with it yet, and decides he wants the crown still.
Oh, now you want it. Now that everything is
like I said, even those slight defeats had them regrouping within their borders, and he chooses now to come and collect. So Poland digs in about 150 miles from Moscow. Now, Michael starts to work desperately to mobilize an army, like raising nobles and getting them to raise all their peasants into these armies, but they're not quick enough because the Poles made it to Moscow first. But
they were one step ahead.
Bethany, it doesn't matter if they made it there first, because we're about to learn one of history's most enduring fucking lessons.
Oh, really?
I can't even remember what movie it is. It's a quote. There are two kinds of mistakes. There's the first kind of mistake, something like wearing light or white after Labor Day. And then there's the second kind of mistake, which is invading Russia in the middle of winter.
Invading Russia. That sounds familiar.
I can't think of the freaking movie that it's from, but there are two kinds of mistakes in life. Either wearing white after Labor Day or invading Russia in the middle of winter. Because here's the problem. The Poles were about to learn one of the oldest lessons in world history. You cannot fight Russian winters, period, unless you are Russian or you're Mongolian. Those are the only two exceptions in all of history. Alexander, Napoleon, the Nazis, a lot of people are going to learn this, and the Polish are learning it the hard way right now. It's like we said in our last episodes. It's because those motherfuckers can survive on hate, vodka, and snowflakes. You do not fuck with Russia in the middle of winter. It's like tale as old as time.
Like, learn from your fucking mistakes.
That's what the Beauty and the Beast song should have been. Tale as old as time.
Don't invade Russia in winter.
Don't invade in winter. Russia's a scary place. Yeah, no, it should have been. It should have fucking been. So the Polish army was broken by cold, famine, and internal mutiny. And I can't say it enough. I mean, we're going to get to Napoleon, Alexander. You and I are going to cover all of this. Yay. I just want to know that this is the first time in our podcast we get to talk about the tomfoolery of fucking invading Russia midwinter.
I love
Don't
that.
Do it.
Tomfoolery. Tomfoolery.
It has broken more empires. It has broken more great princes. If Hitler couldn't manage it,
neither can you.
It broke the Nazis. It broke the Nazis, for fuck's sake. Like, don't do it. It's a bad idea. It's Russia in the middle of winter. Nobody survives it but Russians.
Except for,
I don't know how they do it. Maybe they have a layer of polar bear skin. Maybe it's the hate. Maybe it's the vodka. We don't know. I think that you and I were right. No, you and I were probably right when we were talking about the first Polish invasion. They can survive on snowflakes. I don't know what it is. You just don't fucking do it. Poland did it. The siege was broken. So, which was also a stroke of luck for Michael, because think about it. He didn't have an army raised in time. He didn't know what was coming. They would have been so fucked. But they couldn't even get all the way into Moscow because, spaghetti-o. Here comes winter.
Winter is coming.
And the Polish army, again, I've said it in the last 3 episodes. George R.R. Martin can say he's writing about the War of the Roses all he wants. No, he's not. He's just paralleling fucking Russian history, the time of troubles, and now winter is coming, bitch. The Night King is here. Here's the thing, though. Like, I think Russians would laugh and throw snowballs at the Night King.
I love the face of Ginger.
Exactly. They'd be like, what are you doing here, pussy?
This is 90 below, and I don't feel a thing.
No, they'd be like out there shirtless riding a polar bear. Like, oh, you'll make me laugh.
You make me laugh. I can't even do it like you, but for real, yeah.
You're very funny. I appreciate the effort. Go home.
We kill you later. We kill you later.
Putin. Just FYI, I'm going to drop this in here, and you can hate us all we want. We're not saying we're in support of the man. We're not saying that we agree with his human rights record. We're not saying he's even a good person. But if you don't kind of want to ride Vladimir Putin, you're fucking lying to yourself.
You're a liar. That man is a daddy, and you better love him like we do.
He's such a daddy. And let me go ahead and let all of our viewers know, if you don't know from our Twitter feeds, Bethany and I are big fans of daddies. And what a daddy is, let us go ahead and explain, is an older man that at some point during coitus, you're definitely going to call him, yes, please, daddy, please. Oh,
it comes out with you, like it or not. Comes out.
Daddy.
Daddy. We are gonna go to hell.
I'm not saying the man's not a monster, but I'm also not saying if offered a night, I'd take it.
I would take more than just that night. Whatever he had.
I mean, if he wanted to suck me or wanted me to suck him in the winter. If he wanted me to blow him in the Winter Palace on the thrones of the Tsar, I would do it. I would
You
do
picked
it
the right
tomorrow.
person.
If I was
Oh,
a millionaire, I'd pay for the privilege. Let me put it that way. He doesn't even have to touch me. He's just a daddy. He's just a power daddy. I'm like, don't get me wrong.
Fucking done. I'm done. I'm so done right now.
Don't get me wrong. I hope sincerely that he is not the ruler of Russia when I wake up tomorrow. However,
pick me.
pick me, Daddy. Pick me. Oh, I bet he's so good. He's so
my God,
good.
Jessica.
This is the point of the podcast where I've officially drunk way too fucking much.
Just
all right.
like,
Fuck you, bitch. You're not as drunk this time, and now I'm only the drunk one.
I am. That's why I can't even fully comprehend sentences. All I can do is laugh. I'm picky, bitch.
The point is, we're
That's
going
the
to get
point.
off of VP. The point is, Russian winter defeated essentially the Polish army, not the Russians themselves. They didn't have to lift a finger. But here's the thing also, the Poles could always, withdraw to their own country, regroup, and come back before Michael might be able to, because again, the population seriously depleted before he can even begin to raise an army to do anything about it. So
again, like, what can you do with somebody that's not supporting the people?
Michael is going to take the smart route. So February 1619 sees Michael sign the 14-year truce of Delino. Live today, fight tomorrow. Now, Poland was given possession of Smolensk, I believe is how you say it, Smolensk. Now, that was humiliating, but Michael essentially is still able to hold the kingdom together. So I think this was actually a pretty smart idea from him. Look, we're going to have to give up Smolensk. We're going to lose some face. But the point of the fact is we can't raise an army in the spring that can repel the Polish.
Yeah,
we're going to sign this truce. Live today, fight tomorrow. Which is also incredibly thoughtful, an incredibly smart thing to do.
Yes.
But even though he lost Smolensk, Bethany, he's about to gain something that's going to prove to be just as important as the building of the dynasty. It's going to be what makes the Romanovs the Romanovs. Can you take a guess what he's going to get from the Polish?
I mean, like an empire?
Well, kinda? Michael's young. Who's an empire builder? Who's been a wily fox and stayed alive all through?
What's his name?
Yes.
Fillaret
Romanov.
Fillaret. See, hey. Okay, he's a filler. That's why I have him in my notes as a filler. Like, that's why I brought him back, because it's the only person that I can think he's a filler.
He's held by the Polish. So Michael gives up Smolensk, and the Polish agree to give back his father. And if you'll remember, all this shit that Michael has learned has come from his father. All those years of toppling false czar after false czar. Who did that? Fillaret Romanov.
I keep calling him the Fillaret. So Fillaret
Romanov, I believe is how you say it. I can't be sure. So Fillaret Romanov is to return home at long last. And now he's been held captive. He's hard AF.
I mean, he's ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah. He was hard and lived and survived through the time of troubles. What do you think he's going to do in a time of peace?
I mean,
run rampant.
almost forgot he was still alive.
Yeah, now he's free. So, Filaret Romanov would help his son, Tsar Michael, get to work building a dynasty.
Like a
for
real
the
dynasty.
real.
Right?
Yeah.
Like an actual, like he's already kind of got the process going, but now he's got somebody who's like, all right, here we go.
This isn't going to be
Buckle
a one-off.
up, bitch.
This is going to be a 300 years of fucking
damn
eat our shit. Exactly. And that's where we're going to pick up next week.
Yay! I know this ran a little longer, but hey, I loved it. I loved everything about it.
You know, this is before it starts to get really interesting. And by the time we get to Peter the Great and we're talking about dwarves wearing dildos in corners, you're going to be really, really thankful.
I can't wait.
It's going to be, now that we're to the early Romanovs, it's going to be a very different journey than the time of troubles. But I promise you, no less entertaining, guys. So remember, this episode's kind of a prep for some world building that we're going to do for the end of Michael. And it's important that you see how court life is, that you see how cutthroat you have to be, even if it's like hanging a fucking 4-year-old outside the Kremlin walls.
You got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do. The time of troubles is over, and we're now prepping to build a dynasty that we're only going to do the first 3 Romanovs, but this is going to be decades upon centuries of armies that crush different parts of the world and everything. And that's why we think it's so important to understand the body dropping awesomeness of these early Romanovs. Right now, we are planning to do 2 episodes a czar, so we'll finish up Michael next week. Then maybe we can get Alexei done in 1. I doubt it. There'll probably be Alexei 1 and 2. Peter may take 3 episodes because he is Peter the Great and he's no fucking slouch. So we'll kind of see. We're trying to kind of play it by ear, and then that's going to be our body count of the early czars. And we promised you guys, and we do promise we're going to get to the empresses.
Did anybody die? Oh, yeah, the 4-year-old boy and some...
Marinka the witch, her husband.
And a few followers, right?
Also, all the people that died in the battles with the Swedes, the Polish.
Oh, yeah, I forgot
with Marinka's army.
No disrespect.
We dropped most of the rest of the remaining population, Bethany.
It's like, let's just fire them all and replace them with new.
And
so, yeah.
I remind you, Russian winter also dropped an entire Polish army.
Oh, my God.
So we're in the millions.
Body count.
We're in the millions, just like we were with the time of troubles. Never fear. In Russian history, we're always in the
body
millions.
count is here. Body count is here. I just missed the actual. We didn't actually touch on the actual number because, of course, the actual number is not relevant.
They didn't even have a fucking census yet.
It's relevant, but we just didn't know exactly how many.
Just entire fucking armies of people. That's all that matters. Just a lot. And this entire story, the body count can be described as a lot. And it never stops being a lot.
See, you're being censored, and I'm like, no, it's a fuck ton.
The only murders we highlighted were those particularly horrible ones. And we're going to get to some particularly horrible ones, because we do like to traumatize you a little bit, not just have you think in terms of armies. We like rectal impalement to be slid in there if we can.
Rectal impalement. Shit,
it is what it is.
That was funny.
Oh my God, that's the least offensive fucking thing we've ever laughed at on this show.
I know, it's weird as how quickly I got tears.
Think about Avril LeBaron. We laughed our ass off.
I know.
To the point that we couldn't even podcast anymore about a guy getting shot in the face with a shotgun, like looking for invisible Indian tribes in the desert. Not the worst thing we've ever laughed at. I'm
Oh
going
my
to call it a
God.
win.
Oh my God.
It's like I said, though, we're going to get to the Empresses at a later date. We're not a Russian history podcast. We bit off more than we already wanted to with this whole fucking thing.
Like, I don't
It
know.
was supposed to be 5 episodes. Now it's going to be goddamn 2 months worth of bullshit. But it's okay because we started it and we're going to see it through. And then after that,
damn it.
we're going to fucking finish it. After that, we're going to go back to some more fun, bullshit.
Bullshit.
We're going to revamp our Patreon. We talked about it on the last episode, so I'm not going to go into it now because I'm fucking tired and Russian history is just wearing me out, guys. Super fucking professional. Also, I'm getting pretty drunk and I just don't have time for it. So social media, always a big thank you to @Massive Late Fee. We don't exist without you guys because we are technologically challenged. You're absolutely awesome. So that's going to be @Massive Late Fee on Twitter. You can also find our network, which is a fantastic collection of podcasts. We owe them everything for what we're getting out there and what we're even able to do. So that's @Bigheads Media on Twitter. You can also go to bigheadsmedia.com. You can check out that fantastic collective of podcasts. Now, if you want to follow the show, you can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram @BodyCountPod. We are trying to get better about Instagram. I think we've done a pretty good job this week. For at least
you
this
have
week.
Done a good job. You. Don't give me
goddamn
credit. It's
exhausting. And
it's you, not me.
You know how much I hate Instagram, so
I know,
it is
I'm proud of
exhausting. But we do live for Twitter, so you can definitely get in touch with us and say how much you fucking hate us on there. We really don't give a shit. Bethany, where do people find you?
Okay, so you can find me on Twitter @Bethany Skelton, SKELTON, the number 5, and then on Instagram @BethanyRN24.
You can find me @Jessica B Manor. Manor spelled like the manor house and not the behavior. So Jessica B Manor on both Twitter and Instagram. I am not as prestigiously complicated as Bethany is.
I got married and I changed my last name. That's why I got complicated.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm probably not gonna put that much interest into Instagram. If you guys want to spew your hate and dislike of the fucking show, catch me on Twitter. I'm just as hateful.
Don't do it at me because I was gonna say don't do it at me because I'm gonna be like, I'm sorry, she's just kind of out of there. Or just be like, fuck off.
Yeah, at least Bethany will apologize to you. I'm just going to tell you to eat shit and block you because I don't care.
But I do. So
Bethany
if you want somebody to care, talk to me.
If you want somebody to correct things, talk to Bethany. If you want somewhere to direct your hate, direct it at me because I'll give you a fucking honest run for your money there. I cannot think of anything else. We'll come back. Part 2 of Michael. We're going to finish up Michael next week, and hopefully we get these rolling at 2 episodes at a time. And we're going to come back at you with stuff that's a little more one-off, a little more crazy, and a little more fun again. You know, some more Wall Street bombings or Guadalajara sewer explosions.
Or human stampedes.
We're in the midst of an actual historical exploration. So you know that a lot of vacation downtime is coming at you with the weird shit. So we appreciate everybody for listening. We love you guys so much. Go check out Big Heads Media. Please, I didn't include it this time. If you love the show, go rate, review, give us those 5 stars on iTunes. We don't give a shit what you say in the review. If you want to tell us to like go fuck ourselves, it's great. Please just give us 5 stars before that. It helps us out on the business end, but it's not just that. We want your honest to God feedback, guys, and we really, really love you, and we thank you for everything we have, and we will catch you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.